Kaela, I'm talking your face off. You will have to come back when Coup2 comes out or when the next book comes out, and we'll have to chat some more. My final question for you today is some variation of, I always ask some version of this because it's an opportunity for you to answer the question I wasn't smart enough to have asked during our talk. And that is, if there was one or two bits of wisdom you could go back and give yourself when you were first starting on your writer's journey, or maybe somewhere along the way that would have made a huge difference, maybe saved you some time, what would you go back and tell yourself?
I would say to read. And I did that. But I feel like when I look back, I've been keeping lists of books that I read for years now. Like try to, not on Goodreads or anything, just in my own notes. I write down every book I read and the date I read it. And when I look back, I think that if I had read even more middle grade books the way that I do now, instead of just, I always read them, but I didn't make it part of my job. I think I would have probably understood edits that I needed to make structurally to Coup, or themes that I needed to focus on better. So my suggestion would be to read obsessively, even more than you currently do. So right now I set goals for myself, and I try to be every other book I read, I try to make a recently published middle grade book. And then in between, I read adult nonfiction and older books and older middle grade books. But every other book I try to make current, which helps me understand the rest of the field. And when I'm reading really intensively, I find that I'm a faster writer and a better writer, and it helps me. It helps inspire me, especially structurally, because I feel like what I struggle with the most is pacing and plot. And so when I'm reading a lot of other books, other middle grade books, it's kind of planting structurally in my mind. It's conditioning me to understand and recognize patterns in plots and pacing that then I can just draw from, because I'm familiar with so many different manifestations of plot and pacing.
I'm going to play this for every workshop I ever lead.
Okay.
So what's now that you're a professional author, this is a follow-up question. I'm not sneaking into one.
No,
but what does your reading schedule look like now, Kaela Noel, professional author?
Well, I read every night, and I try to read. Sometimes I fall asleep the same time my daughter does, because she gets up at right now. She gets up around 5 most mornings, and I get up with her. So sometimes I don't read at night because I just desperately need to catch up on sleep, and I'll go to bed at 8. But I usually read every night, and I have my husband and I, we trade off. When he's teaching, I take care of Alice, and when he's a college teacher, so he doesn't teach every day. And then when I am, anyway, we trade off. So when I have my chunks of time to write, I try to start by reading. So I will, instead of diving right into writing, unless I know exactly what I'm doing and I'm trying to finish something that's was very clearly flowing previously, like a scene or a certain edit, I will read for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes to prime my brain for what edited final prose sounds like. And that really helps. Yeah, I also try to finish every book that I read. And that's because I've discovered.
Not that there is ever a terrible one, but if you found one.
There have just been some books that I thought, oh, I can't stand this, like 30 pages in, and then 50 pages in, I love it. So I've learned that having to finish a book that I really dislike a few times saves me from so many other books that I might have put down and not finished at a point when I didn't like them that I ended up loving. So, and I also feel like even books that I don't like teach me a lot, because I can figure out, okay, why don't I like this? Or why is this not working for me? And it could work for someone else, but why personally does this feel like my interest is waning here? And that makes it easier for me to identify those own places in my book and my writing. And again, for me, I feel like at this point in my life, pacing is my big issue, pacing and plotting. And so even reading a book that isn't working for me helps me understand why it's not working.
So the best lessons you'll ever get are found in bad books.
Yeah.
Kaela, come back. I could talk to you for another 3 hours. Sometime I will.
I will love that. My next book whenever that comes out. So I mean, I have a second book that's supposed to come out. I'm not sure. I don't have a pub date for it yet, but I'm working on it.
As soon as you find out, let me know, and we will set up plans to make that happen.
Thank you
for
on here. You're I think when people decide to go, when someone historian 50 years from now wants to write about children's literature as it was now, your blog and your podcast are going to be a huge resource for that person. So you're doing a very important thing. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to walk around the rest of the day with a big head. All right. I would be thrilled to be a footnote in a book about children's literature many years from now, but thank you very much for the sentiment. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really honored.